each and every one of our clients. And we're going to keep striking until we can provide the care that they deserve. UC, fair contract now! Thank you, Jay. I'll hand it over to my sister and everything to introduce her speaker.
Hello? Our next speaker is a member leader. He works as a service, he works at the bargaining service, utility services at the medical science building. Please give a warm $32.99 in UPTE. Welcome to Bernadette Parker.
Hi. My name is Bernadette Parker, and I'm an 18-year service worker here at UCSF Parnassus Campus. We're on a ULP strike over the university's illegal attempts to silence us, intimidate us, and interfere with our right to fight for the contract that we deserve. UC's serial law-breaking and refusal to hear us or even to let us speak freely is standing in the way of our negotiating the contract standing in the way of negotiating the contract that will address the affordability crisis that we all are facing today. For me personally, I don't know about you, but it's getting hard to live here in San Francisco where I work. My rent has increased, my money is lower, I'm at an 8% deficit in terms of income. UC has taken it upon themselves to raise our health care, which has caused me a problem when it comes to going to the doctor, and my co-payments are increased. For every medication, every prescription you have, it's an increase. If you have children, it's an increase. We're paying UC today to come to work for them. They're cheating us with these unfair wages. We're fighting today for those type of things. As far as our short staffing, we're being overworked and underpaid. UC cannot retain employees because of the low wages and the poor health care benefits that they're offering us today. So with that being said, those of us that are the heroes of this university, we're being overworked, we're being underpaid, we're being ignored, we're being disrespected. They're slapping us in the face, we're suiting up and showing up here every day. We're the reasons this university is thriving as well as it is. They're reaping the benefits of our hard labor. That's why I'm out here today, to stand up to UC's law breaking. UC needs to invest in its frontline workers like myself. And that requires listening to us rather than trying to intimidate and silence us. We deserve a fair contract, and we won't stop fighting until we get one. Thank you.
Next speaker is a nurse leader from CNA, our sister union CNA. Her name is Maggie Ming.
Can everyone hear me? Awesome. My name is Maggie Ming. I work in the critical care flow pool at Parnassus as a nurse. Thank you guys all for being here. I'm here today standing in solidarity with my AFSCME and UPTE sisters and brothers. We're all in the same fight. As UC nurses, we know that we can't provide the best possible patient care without our entire team of healthcare workers. We work side by side, day in and day out. We know our AFSCME and UPTE colleagues are in this fight with us. We see y'all in the trenches with us every single day. Thank you for what you do. We're going to continue to support and fight for your job protections, financial and retirement security, and respect in the workplace. It's what you deserve. The bosses inside, UC, need to hear us loud and proud today. So can I hear you guys say, when we fight, we win? When we
Okay, for our last speaker, I'd like to introduce Rosa Shields from the San Francisco Labor Council.
How are we doing today? That's right. I see the sun came out today for striking workers. We got the sun on our side. So we're here from the San Francisco Labor Council. We represent 100 unions and 100,000 union members in San Francisco, including all of you. So we have our unions, our union workers here in support today. I know a lot of our folks are here at Mission Bay. We're all standing in support with you. We're having some of our elected officials come out. So we want to say to UCs that workers here deserve fair wages, living wages, because we know about the affordability crisis in this city. And people here are just fighting for fair wages. So we need to tell UCs that our workers who make these campuses run, who make these facilities run, deserve living wages, mental health care. We deserve to prioritize the people who, throughout the pandemic, have been on the front lines and are continuing to be on the front lines right now. So we need living wages. And while UC continues to expand their land use and development capabilities, we need to focus on the workers who are here now. Right. We're putting our bodies on the line, we're sacrificing wages, and what is the boss gonna do for us, huh?
Nothing.
Yeah, so we need to keep fighting, just keep standing in solidarity with our brothers, sisters, and siblings, and get what, UC owes us. We make this city and we make this institution a world-class healthcare facility and a world-class city, and they can't do that if we're not investing in basic rights for us and our workers. So let's tell UC that we deserve a fair contract now. What do we want? A fair contract! Why do we want it?
My name is Kara. I'm a pharmacist. I work at the California Poison Control Center. And what we do is we're a hotline. There's a national number where anyone can call in, and we help the public and also healthcare workers deal with exposures. So for example, there's a lot of parents that will call us of toddlers who put everything in their mouths. So kids getting into things accidentally, like a cleaner. We also help with people deal with therapeutic errors, like taking meds in the wrong way. We deal with snakes, scorpions, stingrays, any sort of exposure you can think of. We also help hospitals, usually emergency rooms and other providers. We're consulted whenever there's been any exposure, usually an overdose situation, and we tell them how to manage their patients, and we give them treatment recommendations, and we'll follow up with them until we know what the outcome is.
So why are you on strike today?
Yeah, we're on strike. We're on an unfair labor practice strike because the UC has not bargained in good faith, and we just want them to come to the bargaining table and negotiate fairly for the things that we're asking for. The main concern that I have personally, I think shared by most of my colleagues, is just really the understaffing that's really present statewide. In my department at the Poison Center, what we've seen is that there has been longer wait times for the public. So, that results in patient harm. Imagine you're a mom whose kid swallowed a battery and you're not sure what to do. But sometimes during the evenings or during around lunchtime when it's busy for us, if there's a 10-minute wait for you to get to an emergency service like us, sometimes patients are not going to stay on hold for 10 minutes, and that's also the same situation with our providers that are trying to call us from the emergency rooms.
You're saying service is being harmed by what's going on?
I think the quality of patient care is definitely impacted by the understaffing that we have. Also, within my department, there's been tremendous turnover and increased turnover in the past year. I think about half of our newly hired staff have left, and that just really hurts us because when we're short, there's no one else to really help us, and we are the only toxicology service in the state that you can call.
And are you worried as well about the attack with the NIH and the federal government on UC and other healthcare facilities?
Yeah, I think the federal funding, affects a lot of services. I think that the UC does have a lot of financial resources at their disposal. We can't help what happens at the federal level, but I hope that UC will, just improve their bargaining practices and, help out their staff also.
Concern is our benefits, our fair contract.
And you have to pay for your health care?
They increase our health care right now, and that's unfair.
So your wages need to go up?
Yes, they are offering not good percentage, and we deserve more increase.
UC is complicit in genocide. Billions are going to Israel and not to our communities. We are healthcare and education workers in an institution that prides itself on global health. Yet UC has continued its support for an apartheid government in Israel that bombs hospitals, schools, and universities and kills, detains, and tortures healthcare workers. UC holds Israeli bonds in our pension holdings and endowment funds. UC's major donor, the Helen Diller Foundation, also funds Israel, the IDF, and Canary Mission, the entity responsible for falsely accusing university students and workers of anti-Semitism when speaking out about Palestine and getting them fired or suspended. Why should UC students and workers care about Palestine? UC is violating free speech. UC is criminalizing legitimate protests, suspending and firing workers and students for speaking up and making a mockery of our hard-won civil rights laws by protecting genocide enablers and supporters and accusing those of us who support human rights of being anti-Semitic. This is also affecting our union organizing rights with unreasonable access rules. UPTE filed an unfair labor practice about this. UCLA, UC Santa Cruz, and UC Irvine students and workers were vehemently attacked by police and pro-Zionist thugs during peaceful encampments. UC supports an undemocratic surveillance society at a time when we have a fascist in power and Israeli companies are involved in surveilling our borders via Israeli company Elbit systems. How long do we think it will take for us, our families and friends, to become targets of surveillance? Many of our friends and family are mixed status, meaning we all know someone who may be undocumented. UC's support for Israel has translated to support its surveillance companies, just like Israel has been involved in training our police departments across the country in crowd control, aka repression against our communities of color. Are we okay with that? UC's support for Israel's high-tech surveillance has also meant that an unprecedented number of journalists have been killed in Gaza before the relative ceasefire took effect. UPTE members should know that we're also part of Communication Workers of America, which has a News Guild sector of journalists nationwide. This high-tech tracking technology is called Where's Daddy? It was used to track journalists not only in the field, but all the way back home to maximize the damage by bombing them in their own homes with their families. Why should UC workers and students care about Palestine? UC investments attack communities of color and the working poor. UC's holdings also include the Prometheus Group, a billion-dollar real estate company that has evicted and displaced communities of color nationwide. This affects all workers because our wages cannot keep up with rising rental costs. This fascist Trump administration is threatening cuts in NIH funding, Social Security, and Medicaid. And while UC wants to appear progressive in its rhetoric, its support for Israel means that it supports our hard-earned money going to prop up an apartheid government. Many UPTE members feel conflicted about leaving behind our patients during this 3-day strike. Let us imagine what it was like for doctors and other healthcare workers to be forced at the barrel of a machine gun to leave behind patients. Many chose to stay by their side and are in Israeli torture chambers as a result. UPTE dietitians know what starvation looks like. Israel was applying forced starvation on Gaza, causing the deaths and lifetime impairment on the most vulnerable, making breastfeeding new mothers watch their newborns die of hunger. Flour dropped by air became tainted with blood after desperate people risked their lives trying to retrieve the flour, only to be massacred by the IDF. UPTE pharmacists know what it must feel like for patients having to undergo amputations or C-sections without anesthesia, or patients dying from lack of insulin. Israelis blockaded the aid trucks at all points of entry and destroyed medicine and food. UPTE child life specialists, psychologists, and social workers understand the lifelong effects of trauma caused by physical pain, bombings, and the loss of loved ones. A new acronym was created especially for the children of Gaza, WCNSF. Wounded child, no surviving family. UPTE physical and occupational therapists know the suffering of patients who lose limbs and the need for multiple surgeries and prosthetics to be able to function. It is estimated that there are more than 100,000 people wounded in this attempt to erase Palestinian people. Do we accept putting this on the back burner just because we're undergoing contract talks about our wages and benefits? That is what we, UPTE Members for Palestine, have been told to do by our own UPTE leadership. Let me remind you all, silence equals complicity. This did not start on October 7, 2023. The ethnic cleansing of Palestine started almost 100 years ago, and Gaza has been under an illegal siege for almost 2 decades. More recently, during the Great March of Return of 2018, more than 30,000 unarmed people were deliberately targeted and wounded, many of them losing their eyes, their kneecaps, and whole limbs as target practice for the IDF. Let us ask ourselves, what kind of a healthcare model do we aspire to? One that supports the bombing of hospitals and universities and killing of healthcare workers, or one that upholds life? We all want to feel real pride in the work that we do at UC. But UC is not living up to its mission. UC must divest from apartheid Israel. And UC workers and all public workers must unite to fight this fascist regime. UPTE Members for Palestine, thank you. This is Rupa Marya on the phone. Rupa Marya is a doctor at UCSF, and she's also dedicated her life to decolonizing medicine, and is the founder of Do No Harm, one of the founders of Do No Harm, which also stood up against police brutality and the murder of young black people of color. And she was also went and gave her support to Standing Rock and the Ohlone community as well, here as well. So she's not allowed to be on campus because she was banned. And the reason why she was banned was for speaking up about Palestine. So I'm going to put her here.
Okay, great. Well, there's a genocide happening in Gaza that is being sponsored by the United States and is being enacted by Israel. And the donors of UCSF, the billionaire donors, the Diller Foundation, is 100% behind supporting this genocide. UCSF has silenced and repressed, suspended and fired staff, faculty, and students who have spoken out about the genocide in Palestine. Just yesterday, The Guardian issued another article detailing the horror of torture that hundreds of healthcare workers have faced in Israeli detention. So none of these healthcare workers have been charged with any crime. Dr. Adnan Albersh, the head of orthopedic surgery at Al-Shifa Hospital, was tortured to death by Israel. This is a horrific situation that is being sponsored by our labor, our tax dollars, and without our consent. It is absolutely essential that everybody at UCSF who cares about healthcare, who cares about health equity, who cares about building a just world where everyone has the right to health, stands up against our billionaire donors and reclaims the University of California for the University of California, for the people of California, to serve our needs, to serve our health, to serve our education, and not the agendas of the U.S. empire. Thank you so much for bringing my voice to this space where it has been silenced. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Rupa Marya, founder of Do No Harm Coalition, and she was suspended for voicing, for speaking up for Palestine. And she cannot come to the campus because she was suspended. She's a doctor of medicine. She's also a member of Doctors Against Genocide. And she's also spoken at the level of the United Nations and other entities, international entities, regarding UC complicity in genocide. Because the University of California holds Israeli bonds, which we pay for through our pension and through our endowment funds. And just like in the 1980s, when there had to be a major student and worker movement to make sure that UC would divest from apartheid South Africa, we need to do the same thing in Israel. We must divest, meaning we cannot continue supporting a government that, even before this particular genocide, in Gaza there were 6 more bombings that happened. So the children of Gaza have been raised with bombings after bombing after bombing, and they've been subjected to an illegal siege for 20 years almost. Some people get offended when I mention the Warsaw Ghetto and how the heroes that had an uprising in the Warsaw Ghettos to try to get out of the Warsaw Ghettos, that they were trapped in and they were being starved to death inside the Warsaw Ghetto. Some people get offended when I say that the people in Gaza have every right to try to get out of Gaza and back and return to their homeland. They've been ethnically cleansed for almost 100 years. And unfortunately, many of our union leadership does not speak up about it. We also need to break ties with Distribute, which is one of the Israeli trade associations which supports apartheid and has helped create the apartheid government. And now they're literally deducting 1 vacation day per month per Israeli worker to pay the IDF reservists while they are committing genocide. So that would be akin to 1 vacation day a month of our money going to pay for somebody to commit crimes against humanity, which is what's happening. And if we think that Palestine is not an issue that we should be worried about because it has nothing to do with us, that's wrong. Elbit Systems is an Israeli surveillance company that has a contract from a long time already along the Arizona border and has been practicing surveillance against immigrant communities for a long time. We are healthcare workers and we should not be supporting a government that bombs hospitals and universities. So Rupa Marya spoke here, and unfortunately she could not come in person because she was suspended, because she's been targeted also by Scott Wiener, the senator of California, of the state of California, for speaking up about Palestine.